Katelann Maree is a singer and songwriter from Miles in Queensland who released her debut EP, Different Kind of High, in 2021. And what a lovely EP it was. She now has a lovely song out called Let Him Go, and I'm excited to talk to her about it. Hello, Katelann Maree.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm going to jump right into it and say or ask, what is Let Him Go about?
Okay, so it's originally, I'm going to start from the very beginning actually, because it's two sides to this song. So originally when I went to the Gympie Song Muster, 2020, what are we, 2? So it was last year written. It was a song that I wanted to write about a perspective of a friend telling her friend that she could see this toxic relationship she was in and tried to tell her she needed to let it go because this lady's also been in that situation before. So that's kind of where the song started. But to be honest, I think I half subconsciously wrote it about the relationship I was in at that time that I've just recently separated from, probably April this year.
Right.
Yeah. I think I wrote it to myself. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I wanted to write it for someone, but I think I was writing it for me with the Amy and Linc. So that was exciting. I think it all molded into that. Because I have been in a domestic violence, toxic relationship before, and I could see, the red flags in this one after, even though I was in it for 8 years, it was kind of like a light bulb moment as well that went off. That was like, remember all this stuff that's built up to now. Right. I just chose to ignore so much over the years, and I think that's why it ended up the way it did. But it was a very the song itself helped release a lot of that feeling. I tend to write a lot of music about my life. It's so relatable. But I don't know, it just I find it hard to write about subjects that I haven't experienced.
Well, I think that's perfectly reasonable. And I also think it's part of the value of art for the artist, which is to find things out through the creation, the act of creation, right? Like, as you said, you let some things out while you were writing that song. You may not have been able to move yourself out of that relationship without the song in some ways. I mean, it's impossible to know, but it obviously served a purpose.
Yeah, it did. It definitely served the purpose. The whole experience of even just releasing the song, having it finally put out into the world was like a moment where I was like, there you go.
Right.
It is what it is type of thing. Yeah, it helped a lot. But I really loved the song, writing it with Amy and Linc. It took us, there was one line in there, I think it was don't go. I think that was the line, and we sat on that honestly for about an hour and a half. Right. The rest of the song was written, and we were all starting to get annoyed with the song. Right. we just sat there, and I said to them, I said, you know what, some of the best songs come out of situations like this, so let's stick it out. Yeah. And then I'm sure it was Linc, he came out and said, what about this? And he blurted it out, and we were like, yes, that's the perfect line. So and that was it, done. But it was the majority of the song just flowed out, and then it was just that one thing we couldn't get to rhyme or make sense, and it finally did. It was a really good line.
So you're talking about Linc, Phelps and Amy Ryan, and so the actual thing you were at was called Song Muster. Is that something where you're placed with other writers, like you don't get to choose who you're writing with?
No. Sometimes you do. Like if you haven't written with someone and you want to write with them, you can go and see Gavin. He runs usually the groups and stuff, but it's at the Gympie Song Muster. It's at the Gympie Country Music little building there. And the year before that, we only had about 15 writers, but this year it was packed. We had 30, so they were big groups of 5 to 6 people at a time. And like the songs that were written this year, there were some bangers. Like it's really exciting to see what will probably get released next year out of it, actually.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, we have like groups like that.
Okay. And on your EP, you wrote songs with Catherine Britt and Melody Moko. So obviously collaborating, co-writing works really well for you.
Yeah, I think it works well for anyone, really. Just to also have a different perspective in, like, when you're writing, you know, you see something this way and someone else might see it that way, and you might go, oh yeah, well, that could be this. So I find it really special to write songs with other people, even if you're like, oh, I want to write a song about this for me and my experience and stuff, and you just tell them what you've got, and then you kind of go from there, unless you start fresh on a new song. But I think the whole experience, like, you can pick up so many different things from different writers and the way they write things as well. So it's like, to me, it's a whole learning thing along the way of also writing a song, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you approach it in a very open-minded way, not like, oh, I'm going to have to try to protect my ideas, or I don't want feedback on my ideas. It's actually, let's take these ideas and see what becomes of them in a group.
Yeah, it's always better, I think. You know, even being in co-writes for someone else, I find you know, I feel privileged to be able to add that little bit extra for someone else that they probably couldn't see too. So I think, like, co-writing, I don't know, if you look at most hit songs, they're written by 4 to 5 writers. If you really have a look at how many writers write the hit songs, you scroll down the bottom on Apple Music and see, and it's always 4 or 5 people that write ones that just go boom. And I think it's, you know, you have that artistic ability and you have all the artists together. There's got to be something special come out of that, right?
Yeah. Well, it certainly worked in your case, because all of the songs you've released have been great. But I'm wondering, when you first started songwriting, like, was it just you alone with a guitar working something out, or did you start off in a collaborative environment?
It's funny. I started off just as a cover singer, just do cover songs, and I'd always wanted to write my own music, but I could never get anything worth listening to out. Like, I was very I don't know, my mind was all over the place when I was younger, and I had a lot going on. And then I became, after I broke up with my children's father, I experienced, like, I don't know, I became a Christian, and it changed my whole life perspective on a lot of things. Not to judge others in certain situations and stuff like that, and, you know, forgiveness. And it kind of changed my heart in a way. And I remember one night I was sitting on the couch watching the Vikings. This is funny. I was watching the Vikings, and it was about 11:30 at night, and I'd had enough of not being able to write my songs. And all day I was actually praying and asking God if I could write it. Like, help me write a song. I just want to write one. And anyway, I was sitting there and nothing came of it during the day. But then in the middle of the Vikings, I remember I was like, I can hear a melody in my head. So I got up and I grabbed my guitar and I sat on the like doorway there, and I just started writing this song, and it just came out of nowhere. I haven't released it yet, and it's funny, everywhere I sing it, everyone says to me, what's that song called? Have you got that song out yet? And it's pretty, like, lyrically simple, but for some reason everyone that I've sang it to asks me to sing it, or can they have a copy of it? And I'm like, yeah. So it was pretty good. That's how I started. And then after being at the academy and going into a co-write with Melody there, I wrote Troubled Man. It was called They Don't Even Ask to begin with, but we changed it to Troubled Man, about my kids and the situation I was in and stuff like that. and it opened my eyes up to the possibilities of what you do have in here that you can actually get out. That's why I think I like co-writing so much, is because it's like the whole experience is a journey, and you can just build and mold yourself to be better. And I look at Melody and Catherine, and I see how well they write songs, and it inspires me to go, I want to be that good one day.
Right.
So I think the more people you work with, it's only going to make you better in the end to write. But that's where it started for me.
Yeah, right.
Just write all the time, so it's good.
Well, I was just thinking, about you praying, to write, and that idea of offering something up, really, to surrender the act of prayer. It's basically saying, I can't control this anymore. I'm asking for help. And whether one has a religious belief or not, that's like meditation. You're essentially trying to.
That's right. Everyone's different. Everyone has a different experience with the world and the universe and the God they believe in. And I think to surrender that, struggle was just the beginning of something pretty amazing. Right. Yeah.
And you said, through your faith, you learned to forgive. And I'm wondering whether that's also something you apply to yourself, like forgiving yourself for things that have happened that you thought you should have known better, for example, in relationships and also as an artist, I guess, when it can be easy as an artist to think, I should have done that differently, or I should have known how to do that and I can't.
Yeah, definitely. It's, I reckon the last 12 months of my life has definitely changed me as a person in a better way, even though it's the most heartbreaking thing I've ever been through. Mm-hmm. It's also been the best thing that I've been through, if that's a weird thing. And I think the Christianity's helped me get past it, to forgive people for their wrongs, even though, like, sometimes you can't see where you're wrong and stuff like that.
Right.
And I just think everyone's experience in life is different. So we shouldn't judge one another, even though this person has done wrong by you. At the end of the day, I don't know exactly what they're going through. It could be because I don't think you ever truly know someone else. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Only yourself. So it's only yourself that you can make better in situations, and try and move through pain. But I see pain as it's probably weird, but I see pain now as a good thing. I think I needed the shake up to be where I'm going now. Yeah.
Well, I suppose in a way, I mean, you say you write from your own experiences, as every artist does, but I also am hearing and you talking about the creative process that art is a way for you to help you understand other people as well, to understand their actions at least.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the more that I dive into actually sitting there and reading other artists' lyrics to their songs, like, everyone's life experiences are so different, but emotionally we all relate on the same level and stuff like that. So it's nice to be able to see how they can get what they feel and that out. And it just makes me go, oh, well, maybe I can do it like this a bit better. It's exciting. I just like it so much.
Now, I'd love to know when you started as a singer, because you have such a lovely singing voice and an emotional singing voice. Obviously, when you record songs, you're able to connect to the emotions you had when the songs were written, or when you were experiencing what you were documenting in the song. So when did your singing life begin?
My singing life, I started when I was really little, like singing in my auntie's bands and stuff like that, or grabbing the microphone when I was really, really little. I wouldn't get off their lap, and then I'd be fighting them for the microphone. But I went to like many festivals with my mum and stuff like that when I was in my early teens. And we went to like Tamworth and all over this place, and I competed in some country music festivals and stuff then. And then I left school and I kind of just gave it up.
Right.
I didn't pursue it anymore. I didn't really believe in myself enough anymore, and I had a lot going on, and yeah, it just went to the wayside until I started doing, one of the parents in town actually came up to me and said, I'll never forget, she said, can you teach my daughter how to sing and play guitar? And I was like, oh, I don't know, like I'm not qualified. And she's like, but you're good, Katelann, because I used to still play at the local show, and I still do now. They get me every year, God bless them. So it's like when she asked me that, I took her daughter on, and then more children wanted more lessons, so they just kept coming in, and then I was like, hang on, some of these kids are getting really good, and I've got to try and, up my game now to stay above that. I can keep inspiring them to be better.
Right.
So that kind of lifted me again back into it, and then doing more gigs, and Mum kept pushing me to apply for the academy in 2020, and I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm not that good, Mum, like look at all them people, talented people, and I just felt out of place for so long, and then when I got in, I was a bit shocked, but then when I got there and met everyone and seen how humble everyone was and encouraging, I was like, actually, this is where I belong.
Right.
Yeah. So I started again, and I've really started to push myself. I think the next 12 months for me, the next 2 years really, I have some pretty big plans that I want to, go to Nashville and stuff like that and really hammer my career for the first time in my life.
Right. Well, it sounds like you have everything in place. I love the idea of you playing in your auntie's bands. So obviously auntie had more than one band.
Yeah, so my mum, and all the sisters, she's got heaps of sisters. So and the same auntie was in this one band, but that was the one I used to steal the microphone off when I was really little.
Yeah.
But then so they like separated a bit. Mum had her band then, and then my auntie had her band, my uncle and my auntie and a few others in town. They had like a rock band. So I did a bit in there, like backup stuff, and I'd sing this one song, Pink, Who Knew, but I still wasn't really comfortable.
Right.
All the time I still didn't feel like I could accomplish anything or remember lyrics. I had a bit of like PTSD with the trauma I went through with the kids' dad and stuff like that. Even though we're in a better place now, which is good for the kids. But like back then, it really did affect me to try and retain information. So I was always very frightened to get back on stage because I couldn't remember lyrics and chords at the same time. So I used to just sit and sing.
Right.
And now I'm just like, no, I will stand. And I'll, I have a goal set that by the end of the year, I'll have 30 songs in my head that I know back to back. Because sometimes my mind still just disappears and goes blank. But I notice it's getting better. So it's like I'm really trying to get that fixed.
You're training the muscles all over the place. Brain muscle, singing muscle.
Yeah.
I guess that's what it is, isn't it? It's training the muscle memory so that when you get on stage, you don't have to consciously try to remember, because you might get nervous and you might forget if that happens.
Yeah, I'm getting more relaxed now. I noticed, like, I used to really, really stress out about, oh no, that person knows I sang the wrong lyric. Where now I'm just like, oh well, and I just keep singing. Sometimes I'll see someone in the audience and I'll be playing along and they'll like smile and wave, and then I'll be like, oh, it's got to play. It must be like a part of a little bit of ADHD, I think, where your mind just jumps around. So it's really, you've got to try and focus on, the one thing at the time and still put on a performance. But so I can now sometimes look at people and smile and keep going. So it's getting better.
Right, there you go.
Yeah.
So you talked about the plans you have. Do you have some more songs recorded, or you're planning to record some singles?
Yes, I'm going for like I'm gonna apply for a couple of grants.
Mhm.
I find the money thing's the hardest, is to try
Mhm.
and as a single mum, pay a mortgage and work, have about 4 jobs, and
Mhm.
still be able to afford to do the music
Mhm.
because of the travel and stuff like that. But I think if I can get a couple of grants, I'll be able to record more. Like I have enough to do a single every now and then, but I'd like I have a lot of songs ready.
Right.
So it'd be good to get a fair few of them out at once,
Yeah.
and keep doing that. But yeah, I don't know. I'll have to see. Hopefully I get a grant.
Well, and also just a good use of your time to record a few at once, because as you said, you have children, you have several jobs, you have a fitness business, I discovered. So
Yeah.
yeah, you do have a bit to do.
Yeah, yeah, just a bit. I also run like a care support. The work is for my brother, and he has, like, he's in his wheelchair, so I help with that. I clean a split shift at the local school,
Right.
up by 4:30 every morning, but I'm home by 7:45, and then I get the kids ready, breakfast, and then school, and then I come and do my fitness and
Right.
stick in the middle of the day, and then back to school, and then fitness in the afternoon. So sometimes it's like it's a lot, but it's going to be worth it because I want to really hopefully I can get to a place where I can do music full time. That's the goal at the moment.
Well, you certainly have the songs for it already, and the voice, and the presence, I think, just from listening to the songs you have. So I certainly hope you record those songs, that you get those grants and record those songs.
I have a really good one that I wrote at the muster this year. It I think it would be the next single. It's a really exciting one. We're debating over the name of it, but I think I'll win. Let's
Well, let's hope that's the
I'll
new
be
single.
watching this later and I'll be like, I've got to win because I'm putting it out.
Well, let's hope that's a new single, and I'll get to talk to you about it then. I'm going to wrap this one up for now, but it has been so interesting to talk to you, Katelann. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks.